In the Star Wars Expanded Universe, the Galactic Empire had a lot of good strategists and tacticians. In this video, I'm going to be combining both the Imperial Army and Navy together when assessing my top 10 Imperials. I will only be looking at their military skill, and although politics has a role in military affairs such as building alliances and coalitions, politics will be a minor consideration when regarding military skills on my top 10 list here. Understand the rules and credentials? Great, now let's get into my top 10. Number 10 is Admiral Terrenold Screed, who joined the Republic Judicial Navy in 35 BBY at the rank of commander. Screed broke a pirate siege over the planet Niele, where he lost his left eye while fighting a pirate armed with an axe, and that's pretty cool in my opinion. During the Clone Wars, Screed became a captain in the GAR's Navy and commanded a Victory 1 class Star Destroyer, and would often fight alongside his friend Captain John Dodonna. He fought several battles such as Forost and Anaxis and more. Screed was promoted to Vice Admiral and given command of the Coruscant Home Defense Fleet. In the early Imperial era, Screed's fleet made up part of the 10th Army, where he was tasked with destroying many Separatist holdouts, including the remnants of Grievous's forces in the Western Reaches. He was also very effective at beating up the Separatists. Screed would, however, fall out of Imperial favor after he had a debacle on the planet Rune and refused to ally with petty tyrants. Screed carved out his own empire after Palpatine's death and allied with Fatboy Zinj, which proved to be his downfall, as Zinj executed Screed for having communications with Captain Pellaeon, because for some reason Zinj didn't like Pellaeon and considered it treason to talk with him. In 9th place, I had Admiral Firmus Pete, who had joined the Axilla anti-pirate defense fleet just after the end of the Clone Wars, but the fleet was full of corruption and officers who illegally supported smugglers, and Pete made a name for himself as one of the most honest naval officers, as he made mass arrests and suspensions. Pete was well known for his integrity when he joined the Imperial Navy, and his record caught the attention of Darth Vader when he was a mere lieutenant. Pete, however, remained cautious due to the high attrition rate of Imperial officers known to Vader. Pete became a captain in the Imperial Navy and did a solid job at defeating rebel forces before being promoted as a result of Vader choking Admiral Ozzel. Pete became a legend within the Imperial Navy for his survival after Bespin, though he became known as an admiral so valuable that even Vader could not execute him, as Pete's skills rivaled those of several Grand Admirals. Pete then led the Imperials to successfully destroy the rebels on Megiddo and would tragically die in the Battle of Endor. 8 is X-1, who was a clone trooper in the Clone Wars, and unlike the Jango Fett clones, X-1 was cloned from the DNA of Jedi Knight Fallon Gray. X-1 was an officer in the Grand Army of the Republic and was well known for his heroism and combat skills throughout the war, and when Order 66 was initiated, X-1 stood up to Jedi Master Feroda in combat. X-1 became a skilled Jedi hunter within the Imperial ranks and commanded Desolation Station. He would start to develop and use Force abilities in battles such as Hoth, and after the Battle of Endor, X-1 carved out his own empire where he pacified a significant portion of Dathomir and dealt many casualties to New Republic forces. His empire also controlled Bast Castle on Vajun, which had previously been controlled by Darth Vader, and he launched a successful incursion into the Wookiee homeworld of Kashyyyk. But at the height of X-1's success came with where he captured Jedi Master Luke Skywalker on Mustafar and almost created an army of Dark Jedi from Skywalker's DNA to conquer the galaxy. He was, however, killed by his own lightsaber in a duel with his brother X2. 7th place goes to Maximilian Veers. Veers would attend the Imperial Military Academy where he studied assault and walker tactics. He felt that the AT-AT walkers first used in the Clone Wars were the future for the Empire's future warfare strategies. He was right, and Veers rose through the ranks by showing off his early skill and won several battles. When he was a colonel, Veers was captured by the rebels and rescued by Vader, who then promoted him to Major General, bypassing the rank of Brigadier General. He was in Vader and Thrawn's favor due to his abilities, and many officers were jealous, but nobody asked anything because he had very good skills, especially after the Battle of Hoth. However, by the time of Palpatine's death, Veers found himself under the command of Sandor Del Vardas and Eridu Authority, which he despised. However, during the Thrawn campaign, Veers would become a template for Thrawn's Sparti cloning and was very enthusiastic to serve Thrawn. But after the campaign came the Dark Empire, where he met his worst fate imaginable. He was under the command of one of Palpatine's apprentices who disliked Veers for being friends with Vader, and Veers was seriously demoted to the rank of captain and died on a suicide mission. Number 6 is Gilad Pellaeon, who was a captain for a very, very long time. From the Clone Wars through the Thrawn campaign, his rank remained the same, which would be considered unusual as he more than earned a promotion. However, he was Thrawn's protege and would constantly learn from the Grand Admiral throughout his career. He would also transfer to several different Imperial warlords after Thrawn's death, including the Dark Empire, Crimson Command under Truton Teradok, and Natasi Dalla's United Warlord fleets, as well as the Imperial Remnant. He would become a Grand Admiral and lead the Remnant to not only survive in the Galactic Civil War, but also exist as a state and cooperate with the New Republic in various different post-Endor conflicts such as the Yuzhang-Vong War. Number 5 is Frederick Covell, who was an Army officer and served as a junior officer to General Veers just after graduating from the Imperial Military Academy. High Colonel Covell served as Veers' first officer and personally commanded one of the AT-ATs assigned to Blizzard Force in the Battle of Hoth. Rebel tactics brought down his walker, wounding him in the process, but he made a good showing of himself and his command abilities. Despite his wounds, he got to safety and took charge of a stormtrooper group, which routed a larger number of rebel troopers before they could dig into defensive positions. Covell saw much action while under the command of Veers, and he would eventually be promoted to general by Pelion and placed in charge of all of Thrawn's ground forces during the Thrawn campaign, where he often led from the front. He would, however, die as a result of the mad Dark Jedi Joruus C'baoth messing with his mind on Wayland. Number 4 is Grand Admiral Oswald Teshik, who was a brilliant naval officer and considered to be the hero of the core worlds for defeating a pirate and smuggler onslaught against all odds with a small fleet. Teshik commanded massive fleets and did a great job at overseeing over 50 capital ships and many other ships being deployed throughout different regions and systems simultaneously. He would eventually be sent on a suicide mission with a tiny fleet by Palpatine for political BS against the Hapans, which obliterated his fleet, yet he survived and most of his body was replaced by cybernetics. Teshik was also present at the Battle of Endor, where he was captured by the Rebel Alliance and they executed him with false charges of war crimes since they could not put on trial a dead Palpatine or Vader, and the rebels put everything on Teshik in a kangaroo court. In third place is Hurst Romati, one of the first officers of the Grand Army of the Republic to command clones in combat and who ended the war as a colonel. Romati was promoted to general and defeated many separatist holdouts, and a few were even attempting to escape into the unknown regions. He reorganized parts of the Imperial Army and was considered one of the greatest generals in galactic history. When Romati attempted to retire, the Empire begged him to stay on, including Grand Moff Tarkin, and he was present aboard the first Death Star when it blew up. In second place, I put Grand Admiral Thrawn. I know, everyone expected me to make him the number 1 spot, and he probably deserves to be number 1, as he was brilliant and effective throughout most of his career in the Chiss and Imperial navies. But for all of Thrawn's strategic and tactical genius, he made crucial mistakes and geostrategic errors that cost him dearly in the Thrawn campaign. To be merciful on Thrawn, I'm going to only be discussing his character in the expanded universe, as I'm not even going to begin to touch all of the many military mistakes that he made in canon. Anyway, during the Thrawn campaign, the Grand Admiral made several crucial mistakes which cost him to win against the New Republic at Bill Bringy, such as not involving forces from the Empire of the Hand, which would have seriously aided throughout his campaign. He failed to secure proper support from other Imperial warlords such as Artus Kane. He also gave the mad Dark Jedi Joruus C'baoth a little too much of a leash in their alliance of convenience, which seriously hindered his forces. And most of all, he was using the Noghri knowing that the Empire kept their planet poisoned, which caused his own death at Bill Bringy, as his bodyguard Rook was a Noghri. Overall, I think that Thrawn was a very excellent commanding officer, but I feel like these critical mistakes under his command are often overlooked, and therefore he is getting the second place slot. Before going to the number 1 slot, here are 3 honorable mentions. Warlord Blitzer Harsk, who would have made it in the top 10 if it weren't for the fact that after a battle, half of his face was blown off and gave him a split personality and a little bit of schizophrenia where he often hallucinated his second-in-command. Harsk was a great commander, but he became very erratic, unstable, and emotional in his later attacks, including a poorly planned and executed assault on the Federated Pterodok Union. Truton Pterodok is another honorable mention, as he led the Greater Maldruid and later co-ran the Federated Pterodok Union with his brother Kosh Pterodok. Truton had a string of victories against Blitzer Harsk's Zero Command and held a significant fleet, as he was able to withstand attacks from Fatboy Zinj and the New Republic before the Maldruid collapsed. Additionally, his deep core holdings were quite sizable after the Maldruid was combined with his brother's forces. Grand Admiral Niall Declan is my last honorable mention, and I kind of see him as a missed opportunity. Anyway, he was a commanding officer within the Republic Navy and served on an Acclamator-class Star Destroyer in the Clone Wars. After the war, he enlisted as a TIE fighter pilot, where he found out that he was force-sensitive and was trained in the dark side on the planet Droman Kos. Although his appointment to the Grand Admiral was a little questionable due to his lack of more significant victories in the Imperial Navy, he showed off his skill by hastily gathering forces from Naboo and Corellia to stop the Rebel Alliance's 4th Battle Group from taking Kessel and would coordinate the defense of Endor. However, he died aboard the 2nd Death Star in the Battle of Endor. In first place, I put Grand Admiral Joseph Grunger, who was a former Republic Marine weapons and communications specialist. Grunger is easily the best Grand Admiral of Palpatine's original circle of 12 Grand Admirals before Thrawn received his promotion to the rank. Grunger became the first Imperial warlord after Palpatine's death and immediately acquired Grand Admiral Tackle's fleet over Mandalore. He literally had a conversation with Tackle's first officer, and the fleet joined his. His starting position was not so great as he faced Ysanne Isard, Trioculus, and what was left of Tackle's forces, and of course Fat Boy Zinj on all of his borders. He then defeated Tackle when the spice addict wanted his fleet back. When Tackle went crying back to Ysanne Isard about Grunger, she gave him another fleet which Grunger easily defeated at the Battle of Gargan. Grunger proceeded to aggressively carve out his own territories and aimed for the Corellia system, where he engaged in Battle of Trallas with Grand Admiral Pitta, who had the Corellian defense fleet, his own fleet, and a torpedo sphere which could launch 500 torpedoes. Additionally, Pitta could replenish any losses that he had as he controlled the shipyards, and the battle ended in a draw where Grunger launched his Super Star Destroyer into the torpedo sphere. This is, of course, just my opinion on who I believe are the top 10 Imperial strategists, and there are likely many more in the expanded universe that I didn't mention in this video or that you would strongly disagree with. But who are your top 10? Write in the comments, and thank you for watching.